This is Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
It's Tuesday, November 24th. We are the Fantasy Footballers, and we are back again. Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright, bringing you the action.
And the satisfaction of winning fantasy football games.
We've got to come up with different taglines for every show. That's something I want to spend my time on.
The show's going to be late today, folks, because
we couldn't think of anything. The action and the satisfaction. Welcome to the show. We've got a good one for you today. We've got our news and notes. We'll catch you up on injuries. We'll catch you up on guys you've got to have in our waiver wire segment. That is today. You love it. We love it.
It's everyone's favorite show.
And you want to know why it's so great, Jason?
I do.
Because people get hurt every single week.
Yay.
Yeah, it's a great show and a terrible show because it means people have been hurt.
Yeah, and
Maybe
this week is no exception.
Maybe it just means someone capitalized on opportunity. Maybe it wasn't an injury that got somebody a role. I mean, I don't know if that's
probably
true
not.
in anybody's
Usually
situation.
it's an injury.
Yeah.
So we've got a good one for you today. I do want to let everyone know that this week our schedule's a little different because it's the holidays. And we've got Thanksgiving on Thursday.
Got 3 games of football on Thursday.
Yeah. And so basically what you're getting from the Fantasy Footballers this week is you're getting today's show, which is the waiver wire show, and tomorrow you're getting the jumbo pack.
Megalodon.
You were ready. You're getting a jumbo-sized episode tomorrow. So tomorrow's episode will have all the matchups through the weekend, including the Thursday night preview of games, and then you're going to get our starts of the week, our sits of the week, and pretty much everything you need to know. So you can just keep playing that episode.
I hope you have a comfy chair.
Yes.
Because it's going to be long.
And a pair of headphones that you really like. All right. So anyway, that's what's going on. And then we're spending Thursday and Friday with our families.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
yeah. If you want to pretend like we're recording that day, you can just like pause the episode after the first hour or whatever, however long it takes and play it the next day. So that's what's going on this week. You can find us on the web at thefantasyfootballers.com. You can find us on Twitter at theFFBallers, and we are on YouTube as well. You can watch the show and subscribe on YouTube, and be sure to check out jointhefoot.com, our fantasy football community, with exclusive content, the ability to get your questions answered by the Foot Clan and ourselves. So check that out, and we're also on Facebook. So if you like clicking the like button, do it on our page as well. All right, quick question for the day, guys. What in the world does the future hold for that vaunted, is that a word?
Yeah.
That vaunted
New
England.
And Jason says it's a word, so
New England offense. Yeah, Jason.
Oh,
So, I mean, the New England offense is decimated. Let me read some names to you. Julian Edelman,
out.
say goodbye. Danny Amendola now with an MRI on his knee. He went out last night. Dion Lewis, sayonara. Aaron Dobson, nice catch.
Yes.
Goodbye. You're gone. Not good. Keyshawn Martin's out already, but he should come back. So what do? They're going to have to adjust. But the big thing to me that stood out, and I'll kick it to you after this, the thing that stood out to me was the offensive line couldn't protect Brady so that he could drive the ball downfield at all, including to Rob Gronkowski, who was double covered. And because so it had to be this Edelman-Amendola game. But if you don't have those guys, so anyway, tell me what's going to happen, because I want to know, because I got Brady.
I agree that the biggest concern is the offensive line, where Tom Brady and Belichick, they have the ability and the skills to they have the old school Peyton Manning effect, where they can take guys who are basically no ones and turn them into what looks like a great player because they scheme well, they have great play calling. But if you can't protect Tom Brady for more than a second and a half, then they're in some big trouble if they can't figure that out.
Yeah, and that would say, okay, well, not everybody has the defensive line that the Buffalo Bills have to be able to pressure them. So let's take a look at their schedule. Well, next week we know the big game against Denver, maybe a better line, depending on if Ware's back or not. You've got Houston, who's really turned around their defense. Their defensive line looks good. You've got the New York Jets in that Week 16 championship matchup. So, you can't get crazy and say, well, bench Tom Brady. They're the Patriots. They're going to put up points. They're still a great offense. But I don't know that they can do what they were doing to teams when they were healthy. So you
hit a point where it's just skill players that make big plays. I mean, early in the game, now Amendola had a great game, and then he was like Edelman in the sense that he got hurt, as well as being kind of the check down guy. There were a couple plays I thought that if Edelman had been on the field, first downs would have been picked up. But I mean, Amendola was great, and if an inadvertent whistle didn't happen, he might have had a 70-yard touchdown.
How have we not talked about that?
Well, we will.
It's so just a quick update. I don't know if you caught the end of the show yesterday. I was talking about I really need some fantasy juju from some guys to withstand a victory last night, and that Edelman miscall could have potentially cost me the game because that was a huge where maybe he would have scored, maybe he wouldn't have, but he was going to pick up 60 yards at the minimum, which would have been a huge boost to what my team needed. I ended up pulling out the victory, everyone. Miracles happen, and they happened last night.
Yeah, if you don't know what
for sure,
if you don't know the play that he's talking about, if you didn't get to see the game last night, Tom Brady is scrambling, rolling towards the sideline. It's in a full scramble drill, and he just throws the ball, 10 feet over a defender's head to Edelman, who's just broke behind the defender and is wide open.
Edelman, huh? He came back.
Yes, to the one in Edelman's role, Amendola, and the whistle blew. Because the guy, I don't know what the ref was thinking. I don't know if it was because Rex Ryan came out or because they thought he was out of bounds, but they blew the ball dead, and for no reason at all. And so the play stopped, and it was a gigantic play. Andy and I were live watching it, and we were texting Mike, who was not yet caught up to the show,
putting kids to bed.
It was I've never seen anything like that.
It was a great defensive play by Rex Ryan.
Yeah,
for sure. I guess that's true. So if somebody steps up, defensive-minded coach.
We play with 12 guys.
So if somebody steps up for New England, who's it going to be?
Oh, man.
At this point, I guess we could wait till waiver and talk about those guys, but right now, is there somebody that jumps off the page to you?
So if Amendola is in fact going to miss time, which we suspect he will, it's kind of how much time is he going to miss?
Right.
Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 6 weeks. We don't know yet because he's having the MRI later today. And to me, if I'm going to take a wild shot on anybody, it's going to be Keyshawn Martin because I think he has the most similar skill set to fill in for that quick hitting Edelman, Amendola slot receiver that the Patriots play. I just don't. I mean, maybe Harper can do it. Harper had a great catch in traffic that got called back on a penalty, but I mean, undrafted rookie. I don't.
You guys remember when Reggie Wayne was on the Patriots this year?
Oh man, I have completely forgotten about that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, and we'll talk more about it when we get into the waiver section. So we do like to take the opportunity once a week to read a review from the listeners. We appreciate your reviews on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever you're listening. They help the show. Your support is what fuels the show, so we really appreciate that's a way that you can help us. So we're going to read one right now.
Reviewosaurus Rex.
This one comes in from Zane F., and it's called Withstanding Friendships. I started listening to the Fantasy Footballers this summer,
Creepy.
which is where I owe all of my success for my 8-2 dominating season thus far, even though I have sustained setbacks in the last few weeks, including injuries to Lev Bell, Keenan Allen, Dion Lewis, and Matt Forte. I'm still a front runner in my league, and it's simply because I haven't missed a single episode. Now here's where it gets interesting. He says, furthermore, I went against Andy, Jason, and Mike's advice by telling my league mate and best friend about the show. Since then, he has climbed from 9th place 1-3 to 5th place 5-5 and has a good chance to beat me in this week's matchup. But the most important part of the show is that it has brought us closer together than we have ever been. We recently downloaded the Wheel of Water app, and the world will soon see a hilariously drenched 5-6 team. Thank you for all the laughs and the winning advice. Well, thank you, Zane F., for the review and for the love.
Yes, very, very much thank you. And clearly you did not catch the reference. That was a Mortal Kombat friendship.
I did not.
No, we don't catch many of your references, Mike.
Mortal Kombat.
The listeners do. The Foot Clan love your references.
Yeah.
The
They're way
arcades,
wiser
you
than
don't
we
remember
are.
dropping friendships on people? That was dropping the mic back in the early 90s when you hit them with the friendship.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I mean, we're shrugging our shoulders.
You guys are the worst.
Yeah, we grew up. All right. So I do want to say, what else did I want to say? He said that there is going to be a hilariously drenched 5-6 team. That is great. When you do that and you post it on Twitter, use the hashtag Wheel of Water so we can see it and retweet it. We took care of business yesterday, and we paid out water bets for the last 4 weeks.
Oh, we were all very wet.
You were very angry.
Yes.
You were not happy because you drew the short straw that is the ice bucket.
Yeah. You don't want that Wheel of Water to land on Ice Bucket.
No.
It's no bueno.
But
Especially
it was great because it was for your DeAndre Hopkins idiocy.
Yeah, especially when your friends are mean people.
Yeah.
Who will slow pour your brain
that's
into
the kind
freezing ice.
slow pour your brain.
Including
Hey,
for
I was merciful, was I not?
Yes, you were. But
Thank you.
To Mike,
Second half.
the listener that we made the Green Bay Detroit bet, we have paid that out, so that'll get up.
Yeah.
And also, I gotta say, we could have spun anything on that because you don't know. We get to edit the video, and I would have been fine with it, even though I hold myself to be a man of integrity. But we actually got on that video the ice bucket for all three of us, and we did it.
Yeah. So you'll see all those. They'll pop up as soon as Mike edits the video. So let's get into the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, Kendall Wright expected back in week number 12. This is very significant for the passing game
Yes.
that only saw 5 wide receiver catches in the entire last game on Thursday. Larry Donnell has been cleared to play and feels 100%. That's good for Eli Manning in that offense. The Philadelphia Daily News reports Sam Bradford was cleared by an independent neurologist for his concussion situation. Yay.
Well, so he'll probably start over
Okay.
Sanchez.
It definitely is. I think it helps. They're both mediocre.
Yeah, well, one throws a little bit less on the interceptions, though.
Which one?
Bradford.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
A little.
I
bit.
didn't
I
know.
didn't say significantly. I just said a little bit.
All right.
Hey, surprise, surprise. Jordan Reed suffered a sprained MCL in the Redskins' loss.
I wonder if Jordan Reed is talking to Antonio Gates right now.
About the significance of your MCL?
Yeah, because I'm just guessing. I'm an outsider looking in. I think the MCL is a really big part of Jordan Reed's game,
Yeah.
similar to Antonio Gates. So we'll see what he's.
Do you think he plays this week against the Giants?
His coach does. So
Okay.
yeah,
Ryan Matthews not practicing still. Do you think he plays this week?
probably not.
Yeah.
He's on Thursday. So
Yeah, that is true. Nick Mangold had a laceration on his right hand. That's why he didn't come back in the game. If you saw him on the sideline, he was all bundled up. The hand was all bundled up. I say all this about a center because he's had a huge impact on Chris Ivory's numbers this season.
Gigantic.
And so Ivory had a mixed bag of a game where his snap counts were low and he was behind, but he ran for over 5 a carry for the second straight game on only 8 carries. So not a great game for Ivory. He needs maybe the right matchup now with Powell back. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah.
All right, Brock Osweiler is starting again this week. You don't get to see the Brady-Manning battle that we had kind of hoped to see.
Maybe.
Manning somewhere secretly so happy.
Maybe. Because Manning might get cleared to play and might dress as the backup, is what they're saying, the way that Ben Roethlisberger did in case of an emergency. So
Okay.
Osweiler goes down. Maybe you got it.
All right, this was big news talked about this morning. Kevin White is expected to begin practicing, the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears.
A lot of people thought he was better than Amari Cooper.
Well,
as far
so
as a
did the
rookie.
Bears.
Right?
Well, he got drafted after Cooper.
I thought he was on top. Okay.
No,
yeah.
Cooper was first. And so what happens now is there is a timer set of 21 days, I believe,
Yep.
that the Bears have to activate White. If they don't activate him within that time, he will be on IR. There's not really a fantasy implication for this season, but this is more of a just maybe we get to see him in action for next year at the end of the season.
All right, and then Rex Ryan doesn't know if Tyrod Taylor will be available. Tyrod Taylor's really not played well. He seems like what I saw last night was I'm running desperately for my life trying to make a play on every play. I mean, there wasn't, he missed guys downfield for sure. He missed Hogan for a touchdown. He missed some other plays downfield, wasn't taking shots. I didn't really like what I saw from Taylor.
Once his shoulder got hurt in that game, he couldn't throw a good ball, and he should have been taken out of that game. But, and he's too small to play the way he plays. You hear comparisons to him and Russell Wilson, but there's a big difference because Russell Wilson, when he scrambles, avoids a lot of the contact that it looked like at the beginning of the season. That's how Taylor was playing, but that's not how he's playing anymore. He's diving head first and trying to pick up every yard.
Well, he's a gamer. He fights hard. He reminds me a lot of what happens to Vic out there. I mean, Vic gets banged up every game. You come out of the game if he's not majorly hurt, he's totally beat up. He's just beat up, and you just can't make it through a season. And then we reported it earlier, but Danny Amendola did leave the game, I believe, in the third quarter last night, having an MRI on his knee. They hope it's not serious.
Yeah. The report was he was in good spirits, but that just, man, that sucks because he already had 12 targets.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely did, and Brady had no choice but to keep giving him the ball. He had to have somebody underneath. All right, so today's episode, before we get into the waiver wire section, today's episode is brought to you by Harry's. Okay, we love Harry's. You've heard us talk about Harry's a lot, harrys.com. It's holiday season, okay? It's holiday season. It can be stressful to find the right gifts for your family and for your friends, for your coworkers in the office, but Harry's is an awesome idea for that. I don't want to fall back on the gift card, man.
Yeah.
The gift card's weak.
Lame.
But Harry's, and if you're watching the video right now, I've got our holiday set here right in front of me. Harry's is great. You can see here we've got our shave cream, the best razors in the business, and all of this is very affordable. And you can go onto their website, harrys.com, and check it out. And as a special offer for our listeners, Harry's will give you $5 off your first purchase when you go to harrys.com and enter the promo code Footballers. I use Harry's to shave every day. The best razor I've used. Absolutely a great gift. If somebody gave that to me, I would have thought, boy, that's a very thoughtful person who cares about my face.
I got one for my father-in-law.
That's exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you must care about his face. So right now, go to harrys.com. As a special offer for fantasy football fans, Harry's will give you $5 off your first order with the code FOOTBALLERS. Don't wait. Free shipping for the holidays ends on December 10th. So act right now. That's harrys.com, HARRYS.com. Enter code FOOTBALLERS. Harry's makes every morning feel like a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the guys you got to grab.
Put me in, coach.
The guys you got to grab.
Well, you want to know why? I'm going to tell you right now. If it were up to me, I'm just going to come out and say it. If it were up to me, I would just hit the button, okay? When we transition. Jason seems to think I need to intro it.
I don't.
But when I intro it, I always say what it is. And I heard it from the listeners. They're like, why do you always say news and notes before news and notes? It's because of Jason.
I like that.
It's 100% Jason's
I like
fault.
The man behind the board running the show. I have no choice. I cannot do it except I'm the one in complete control of the show.
You control it, Andy.
What are you saying, Mike? I'm
blabbering. I'm saying do what you got to do and just hit the button.
Well, disappointing Jason. That's just...
It's hard to do.
You don't want to do that. All right, wide receivers to pick up. Jason, who jumps out off the page for you? Who do you want to grab this week? Who do you have confidence moving forward rest of the season?
Nobody.
If you're spending fab money out. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Well, I just think that this is a week.
Show's over.
Yeah. This is a week where wide receivers to me are not – there's nobody that stands out. I would – if I have a waiver priority, I would pretty much not spend it on one of these guys personally. If I've got fab, I would put in – some $0 bids on all these guys and get one of these guys for free. Some of the guys that stand out, you've still got Marvin Jones out there and Kamar Aiken. Even with Joe Flacco's injury, the targets are still going to be there, so they're regular guys. And in some leagues, Vincent Jackson is still available to be picked up.
He would be the main one for me.
Yeah, he's a higher upside guy, but he's still a guy that's harder to play. But when you have to play a wide receiver off of waivers, you're generally looking for somebody who has the potential to do what Vincent Jackson can do. So he's worth taking a look at. What do you think, Mike? Who are you going after?
Sorry. I agree with what you're saying. I mean, like, Terrence Williams is a guy who I think is interesting now that Romo is back. And like we were talking about at the top of the show, if Amendola is out, I'm going to grab a Chris Harper or a Keyshawn Martin, because you want to have a piece of the New England offense where there's clearly some concerns, but you just off of history, you got to believe in Brady. You got to believe in Bill Belichick that they can figure it out. So I want a piece of it, and that would be Martin or Harper.
Do you have a leaning one direction or the other between those two?
Martin, because I think that his skill set and just that he is not an undrafted rookie.
No, it's clearly Harper, and we should have a water bet.
Okay, all right.
No.
All right, so I don't think there's a lot of other wide receivers to talk about or discuss. Like you said, Hankerson is out there. Hankerson is going to catch a touchdown every third game and drop passes in between.
And Marvin Jones is maybe still available, and I still like Kamar Aiken moving forward. I know that team is just, the Ravens are destroyed with injuries as well, but I think Aiken will still get a ton of targets.
Here's a guy that needs to be on this list without question, and it's Devin Funchess.
Yeah,
because not only did Devin Funchess get he got a touchdown this week, he's getting more involved in the offense, but Corey Brown's going to miss the game on Thursday.
Yeah,
and so if you need a sneaky start, it would be Devin Funchess. I would also say if you need a streaming start, Marcus Wilson. If Jeffrey and Royal aren't going to play again this week, you need to pay attention to him because Cutler's been playing well. And so one guy that could be also later on, I'm going to pass it down the line, but Zach Miller had another okay game. And if those guys are injured again, Zach Miller needs to be on the tight end list. So we'll talk about that. But at the running back position, okay,
this is where it's at, people.
This is really where the meat of our discussion is going to take place. Buck Allen is at the top of the list for Forsett owners and those that aren't owners of Forsett. Now, some people, all right, voice of public opinion about Javorius Allen.
He's not that good.
No, that's not it.
He's really good. I don't know what you're wanting here.
That they're depleted. There's no Joe Flacco. There's no other offensive pieces there, and they're not going to be a very good offense.
And what I would say to that is,
and I think he's really good.
I think that's delightful because it's Mark Trestman is the offensive coordinator. We saw a limited action. Well, that's not limited. It was he played basically the whole game, Buck Allen, and he was getting the overwhelming majority of the snaps.
5 catches?
5 catches.
Yep.
That's where the money is for Buck Allen. Is Matt Schaub is not going to have any choice but to dump off a ton to Buck Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a ton in the same vein that I liked McFadden when Whedon was running the show. We didn't care because McFadden was going to get the workload.
It's just it's the dirty fantasy points, but they all count in the end.
Yeah, if you've got a guy that can get 5 catches and get 20 carries.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's an
matter what he does.
RB1 almost every other week, even if he stinks.
Yeah, speaking of stinks, another guy on this list, Sean Drone. Yeah, that guy's not very talented.
I think he's okay.
12 for 37, 8 for 40.
8
because
catches.
you're just on the field the whole game. Blaine Gabbert has to dump the ball to somebody when he's going to get sacked.
And Blaine Gabbert clearly likes to check it down to the running back. And Jerome, I think he's okay. And he gets to take on Arizona next week. And if we saw anything from Gio Bernard, it's that the way to beat Arizona is dumping off to the running back. So Drone is a decent pickup for me this week. I really, really struggle with my number one priority this week. Is it Thomas Rawls or is it Buck Allen? Because Thomas Rawls, if Lynch is out, which we don't have that news yet. We do not have it yet. We believe that Lynch is going to miss this week. But if he's out, Rawls is a championship-changing running back for your team. Where Buck Allen, I think he'll really, really help your team. Rawls transforms your team, and you now have an instant running back one.
Yep.
So would you argue then, if we don't have news, now we should have news this afternoon about Lynch.
Yeah.
So even though this show is recording now, by this afternoon, we should have some sort of report on the prognosis for Lynch. Carroll said yesterday he's very doubtful for this week. He's not expecting Lynch for this week. And he was pretty forthcoming. Like when you read Carroll's comments, he was pretty forthcoming, saying, "Yeah, I don't really, I don't see him playing at Pittsburgh."
Ian Rappaport said today or tomorrow he could be having season-ending surgery. So I've seen questions where people are like, "Ooh, this guy's offered me Marshawn Lynch for blah blah blah," and they just weren't aware of this level of look. Marshawn Lynch might be out for the season, so I don't know if we had mentioned that on the show or not, but that's huge.
So I say that simply because you probably have more information to put in your bids before tomorrow. But Mike's point is very valid, and that's going to be team dependent. If your team needs a potential home run guy, then let's say we don't have any more information, then it's got to be Rawls. Like, we didn't even really get into Rawls very much. 30 carries, 209 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown, 3 catches, 46 through the air, 1 touchdown. Dominating on the benches of many teams this week, including my own in 2 leagues.
It was against San Francisco, so you can't expect that every single week. While I'm going back and forth of who should be the number one, Rawls is an absolute must-add. I'm going to throw that out if you're considering, well, maybe – no, he has to be added no matter what. But his level of changing your team – could be diminished if Lynch is going to be in and out here and there. We have no idea yet, like we've talking about. So Buck Allen is kind of the safer guy where he's going to get the work, but he's on a worse team, where Rawls is just, Rawls is great.
When you play fantasy football, your philosophy needs to be broader than just who is the number one guy to sign this week.
Right.
Who is the guy that had a great week last week? It needs to be, for me, I got a lot of grief last. I signed Thomas Rawls in every league I could last week when the abdomen injury popped up for Lynch. I was talking to the Lynch owner. I spent more money than him and signed Rawls because he didn't even bid on him for some reason, and I was giving him grief. And then when Rawls didn't play last week, I got a lot of, "Oh, you wasted your fab money. I can't believe you wasted your money." And this isn't me laughing now that I'm on top. It genuinely isn't. Here's what I told him last week. I want to win a championship. I don't just want to make the playoffs. I lost Deion Lewis and Arian Foster this year. I have to take a chance. Yeah. Let's say Lynch was healthy for the rest of the year. I don't regret spending the fab money because Rawls could be a game changer if Lynch went out. The same thing goes for if you own Buck Allen. The same thing goes if you own D-Well. We had a guy in our league who signed D'Angelo Williams before every Sunday for 3 weeks before Lev Bell went out.
Yeah, made a big difference to his team. And another thing, if you are in a keeper or a dynasty league, either one, Rawls is possibly like a top 5 option for your keepers, and he's available on a lot of waivers. If Lynch retires, if he doesn't come back next year, Rawls is one of the hottest commodities. So whether you have Lynch or not, he has to be at it. I think for me, Rawls would be my number one in most situations. He's got a better playoff schedule. It's one of those things where if I'm short on backs, if I only have one starter and garbage, then I probably go Buck Allen just to make sure I have a guy that I can start week in and week out the rest of the season. But almost every other position, I'm putting Rawls ahead of him on my waiver priority.
Now, the irony about Rawls is this week he faces the number one run defense against fantasy running backs. They gave up 10 carries for 5 yards against Cleveland the last game they played. And so will be
coming off of a bye.
Yeah, it'll be a test for Rawls, but he's very good. He passes the eye test. And I think Buck Allen is good enough, even if that offense never sees the red zone at all. So those are the big 2 names.
Yes.
Other guys on the list, I'm going to read them off. You guys give me some commentary on them. You guys can pick a guy. Spencer Ware had 11 for 96 and 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs in kind of relief of the Charkandrick West hamstring injury. Sean Drone. Tevin Coleman came in the game after the concussion. Alfred Blue had a high-quantity game and a touchdown from Cecil Shorts. 21 for 58 and then 3 for 34 and a touchdown. Very good game. James White, 2 touchdowns last night.
4 touches.
Yeah.
4 touches, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, just imagine 8 touches.
What?
4
touchdowns?
12
highly sustainable.
Highly sustainable. Maybe on that offense. All right, Matt Jones,
because
still on the list, even though he had a
Yeah, he was, but Alfred Morris has a rib issue and could miss time.
What would happen if you put Morris and Jones's numbers together from the beginning of the season, would it amount to an RB2?
It might. It might be a low-end RB2.
Oh,
But
they can't run the ball.
They've had a couple big games that probably pushed them up there.
So talk about somebody from that list.
So
there.
Spencer
And
Ware.
I'm going to get some names. While you guys do that, I'm going to get some names, and I'm going to ask you if you would drop X for these guys.
That's good because a lot of times people don't know who to drop. Spencer Ware is a guy that if I'm a Charkandrick West owner, I would almost certainly be picking up Ware. I think he can be decent in relief. He had almost 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He is not. I mean, you got to keep in mind who he is, right? He was the 3rd string, actually the 4th string coming in before he supplanted Niall Davis. So he's not as talented. You can't just always plug in the guy behind him. But Kansas City is so dedicated to running the ball right now that I think if you have West, you can plug Ware in for a spot start. Or if you've got nobody and West looks to be out later in the week, you might be able to plug in Ware.
Would you play Ware against the Bills, though?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, in a situation where
Just because he's a starter?
Yeah, where you've got a starter who's going to be getting the ball, going to be getting goal line. I would be somewhat comfortable with Ware, not as an RB1, but as a flex option.
All right. Mike, did you have somebody you wanted to mention before I?
Just to go over a little bit more on Matt Jones, which he's not as available as these other players, but Matt Jones has a matchup with the New York Giants, who have a defense that I'm not sure if they realize they play defense.
Right.
So Matt Jones is a sneaky start for me this week.
All right.
And Tevin Coleman, it's funny that we haven't really talked about Tevin Coleman. You know, if Freeman is out, Tevin Coleman will get more than 20 carries. He will. The problem I see with the matchup is Minnesota Vikings, normally lower scoring games, probably not as high a ceiling, but a great floor for Tevin Coleman. And we've been saying this for weeks. If you're the Freeman owner, you should already have him on your team. But if he's out there, definitely go get him.
I will say this, Mike, in the Matt Jones vein, Chris Thompson, if Alfred Morris is out, I think Chris Thompson sees more snaps too.
Yes.
And so in a PPR league, he might be kind of valuable. So let me ask you guys, do you drop Antonio Andrews for any of these guys?
No.
Now, obviously,
for any
Buck
of these
Allen
guys,
and
sure.
Buck Allen and Rawls were kind of considering must-adds.
Yes.
Would you drop Antonio Andrews for Sean Drone?
No.
Because you still do. I mean, Carlos Hyde is going to play a game.
We don't know.
I mean,
we don't know what's going
he
on
shouldn't
with him.
probably, but so you would not drop
Not
Antonio
Andrew-
Andrews.
not
What
Andrews.
about Melvin Gordon for any of these guys?
Oh.
I would drop Melvin Gordon for Buck Allen or Rawls.
Would you drop? Let's see, Carlos Williams for any of these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right.
For the big ones.
What about James Starks? Would you drop Starks for either of those two? The big guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
for the big ones, absolutely.
Okay. Do you guys have any confidence in, let's see, James White?
I don't have confidence in him. I mean, I started him in one of my leagues. I recommended. Oh, this is a good story. So we had a listener write in. It was a really, really important matchup. They said they were going up against their rival, and they had a bet going where the loser will be wearing a thong in public. And so he asked me, he needed a high potential out of really bad options. There were not good options. And so we actually recommended going James White in this last matchup for the potential of getting touchdowns because you're on a touchdown scoring team. He got them, and he won just because of James White. And he said when he emailed us back that he is picking out the man thong as he wrote.
Oh, my goodness.
Congratulations.
This is the thing. We help people's lives. We save them from.
Make
who
better
knows?
friendship.
Who knows where his life would go after he had to go out in public?
That's
with
a full
thong?
downward spiral.
Yeah. How much further can you go down than the public thonging?
I was gonna. Yeah.
I hope they're back east, north, where it's very cold.
I thought you just meant far away from us.
No, I'm just thinking freezing thong outside in public. So
We've had a bunch of the Wheel of Water hashtags pop up on Twitter, and a couple of those we don't realize. Like we did all the waterings in one of our garages, and
we're in Arizona.
We're in Arizona. Like it's nice still to be hit with water, pretty much, except for the ice bucket. But these other guys on these videos, they're walking outside into the snow to go outside and
Yeah, very funny.
give
But
each other frostbite.
the James White is somebody that you know, if you've got garbage on your team, James White is an opportunity guy that you should have.
So like all your teams.
That's
James
Just something
White.
you say to your friend.
Of all the backs we've listed, I'd put James White at the bottom.
Yeah.
I would rather have James White. Personally, I would rather have James White than Matt Jones.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, tight ends, guys. Vernon Davis had a good game.
He did.
6 for 68.
I think it was very related to Brock Osweiler as the starting quarterback.
As was Cody Latimer's emergence, because Cody Latimer and Osweiler had a very good rapport. We've talked about it before. When the backups come
backup
out,
QB,
yeah. If you didn't know this, Osweiler, the first game when he came in on relief of Peyton Manning, 3 catches to Latimer. In this game, 2 to Latimer and a touchdown. And let's not forget, this should have been in the news notes, but Emmanuel Sanders has confirmed that he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. And so I think he might play this week. He might not. But I'd rather have Vernon Davis in my flex than I would Cody Latimer.
What about Cody Latimer as a waiver guy, picking him up? Wouldn't talk about him in the waivers?
No, I wouldn't. Even though I said all of those things out loud. Only because I think Sanders is back soon. They're conservative with the offense. They're committed to the running game now with Hillman. 20-plus carries. They can't do too much, and so I think the upside is limited.
Yeah.
I mean,
He only caught 2 balls last week.
Deeper league, yes. Deeper league, that's fine. If you need a flyer, like I would take Funchess over Latimer, okay, off the waivers.
Yeah.
But
Well, you said this before, but it bears repeating because it is so true. The Panthers are the 3rd highest powered offense, the 3rd highest scoring offense in the league. So you want weapons on those, right? I mean, we talk about the Patriots at length because you just want every weapon you can get there. Get Amendola. Hey, stash James White. But the Panthers might be the number 2 now after all these injuries, and it's like
crazy, man.
Do you grab Ted Ginn is probably still available in leagues, and guys like that. Funchess is a great pickup. A rookie that's been coming on. He's had in our scoring format half-point PPR over 14 points 2 of the last 3 weeks. So
yeah, I'd rather have Funchess than Dorial Green Beckham. Tell you that.
Yeah.
Tell you that right now.
Spiteful.
And to add to the tight ends with Vernon Davis, Owen Daniels also had a pretty solid game, 4 for 69. It was when Osweiler, because it was his show, if he threw it to the left, I believe this is the way it worked out. If it went left, it was going to Vernon Davis. If it went right, it was going to Owen Daniels. And I expect Osweiler to continue to lean on the tight ends this week.
A guy that you might have forgotten about due to the bye week, if you need a start, Heath Miller is back in action this week as the Steelers take on the Seahawks up in Seattle.
Seahawks are susceptible to the tight end.
They have been. And so Heath Miller's a guy to remember. Crockett Gilmore is the last remaining offensive player for Baltimore. Buck Allen and Crockett Gilmore are running the full offense. No, but, I mean, he was 5 for 101. I don't know. That's one of those things where the rapport with the starter, Gilmore and Flacco had a lot of trust. I don't know if it repeats. It probably does. Gilmore will be involved.
Yeah, and he's
crickets.
He's got
crickets.
I like Crockett Gilmore. He's been decent on the year. He's facing the Cleveland Brown offense, so I'm pretty sure I put a D at the end of the word Brown.
How much would you like him if his name was Dave Smith?
Far less.
100%
less. If his name was versus Crockett Gilmore, I
Crockett,
love Crockett
Gilmore is the name of a man who needs to be in action movies.
Yeah. Exactly.
He also makes me think of Butter.
Butter?
Yeah, isn't there it makes me think
what?
Country Crock?
Yeah, Country Crocker. Betty
wow.
Crocker. I don't know. Dude, I pretty much half of things in life
or
make
is it
me
Betty
think of Butter.
Crockett?
It's Betty Crockett.
Betty Crocker.
Crocker.
I know
but
what it is.
That's the container that comes to mind. Look,
what's the Kevin Bacon game where everything gets back to butter?
Yeah,
Jason can do that with butter.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Everything life is
5
3 degrees
of butter.
I believe I have
3 degrees to butter.
Yeah, I have already, right? Didn't I
3 degrees
didn't I
to
call
butter.
Deion Lewis a stick of butter when he was sliding between guys?
You've got issues.
All right, I've got to be right back. I need to go get some waffles with some butter.
His name is literally Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
You go with butter?
Yeah. Man, I'm hungry. Is anyone else hungry now?
Oh, I've got a stick of butter in the
Yeah.
studio fridge.
You're gonna have a moon waffle.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Another Simpsons reference that you guys don't get.
Yeah, that's a good one. Austin Seferian Jenkins.
Breaking news on ASJ.
Hold on.
He is.
You gotta hit the button.
Well,
Breaking news.
he is still practicing. he is still at practice. That's going on, I think, 5 weeks now, where he is practicing and not cleared to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
it's about the
All
third
right.
week in a
All
row
right.
where they've said that Jenkins is gonna play, but I'm hearing that Jenkins is gonna play this week.
I want to move on. To our streaming section. The last bit of news here, Mike, you can mention it in the streaming section. And we'll talk about quarterbacks that we like this week. We'll try to set you up with a streamer and somebody that can get you some points.
Full stream ahead.
All right. So quarterbacks this week that you're willing to put your neck on the line with, guys that you're willing to start in your fantasy leagues. This is crunch time. We play to win the game. So the bit of news, he's not our streamer, but Tony Romo's still available in 25% of leagues.
yeah,
Somehow, according to our stats. I don't know if
in ESPN
10%
leagues,
of those leagues are just completely ignored leagues, and so the numbers are a little bit inflated. But that's a large. He's there for somebody.
pick him up.
So are you dropping him in our league?
Yeah, probably.
So there you
well,
go.
no. I think if I have to drop either Tony Romo or Eli Manning in our league, I'm going to drop Eli Manning, because the only weeks I care about now that I've locked up my bye week for the first round of the playoffs is 15 and 16, and Eli has terrible matchups. So.
Okay. So let's kick it off, Mike. I see the name next to your name, and I have to start with you because
I love it.
well,
This is who I would
of
pick.
course you do. We'll talk about it. Go ahead.
I'm going with Brian Hoyer. He has been cleared to play, and he is going to play. I don't know what that hand motion.
Oh, it was this. It was this.
Oh, are you farting on Brian Hoyer?
Yeah.
There's got to be a water bet here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so Hoyer's taking on New Orleans. I believe what Andy's referring to is that Rob Ryan was released of duties.
Have you seen the Rob Ryan quotes? The Rob Ryan quotes are amazing.
Yes, he is.
Where he said they're blaming Katrina on him now.
Yeah, he is. He's an interesting fella.
He said that they are ranked 33rd in the league in defense out of 32 teams. So someone had to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And why I don't think that will matter is because it's still the same defensive players. I just don't think changing the scheme with they did have a bye week. I'll give them that. But I think Brian Hoyer and the Texans are really heating up. DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, Hoyer has been out.
He missed a week.
Okay. A week and a half of a game. I don't think. Okay. Go ahead. We got to bet something.
It was a concussion. It wasn't like a shoulder that
when he
he's
said
coming
he's
back
heating
from.
up,
I said the Texans are heating up.
Yeah.
If you would take the wax out your ears.
you said Hoyer and the Texans.
Okay. Hoyer and the Texans are heating up. I will stand by this. I will stand by the statement.
Water bet you said it wrong.
You know, I like the pick personally because New Orleans defense has been so bad that if they come out of the bye and are playing better, more motivated by a new defensive coordinator, they might just be bad instead of
terrible.
So bad. And Hoyer has put up decent fantasy games, even in games where he has not been a great NFL quarterback.
I won't water bet you.
2 touchdowns.
No, I will not water bet that. And I was
12.
about to say I'm not going to water bet it because they can't run the ball. And so if they score, I think they're going to score a couple touchdowns.
So then you
and they'll
agree with
probably
this
go with
pick.
Hoyer. So
So that sounds like I made a good streaming pick.
Yes, it does.
yeah,
All right. I'll go next.
It's fine. It's fine.
Since we are recording this on a Tuesday, I'm going to tie this to Alshon Jeffrey's health. I think he'll be back. It was a terrible matchup this last week in cold weather. It's Jay Cutler, my last week's sit of the week, who has been playing fantastic. I really like every single thing I've seen Jay Cutler do this year. I think he's a good quarterback right now, and he's
like everything you've seen him do.
Literally almost every single thing I've seen him do.
All right.
Even this last week, I thought he played okay football. His turnovers were truly not his fault. They were, a crazy guy coming in, breaking the line behind him, pops the ball up, and an offense or a defensive lineman caught the ball backwards, just fell into his hand. That's his interception. And, the reason I had him as a sit of the week was extreme cold weather. The Broncos.
He's going to play Green Bay.
No, I know. But he's coming off of the Broncos pass rush, the Broncos secondary, the Broncos weather. So all of those things this week I think get a little bit easier for him. I believe that this is a higher scoring game. Vegas has this as a 47-point spread, which is the second highest of the week. Not a lot of high Vegas odds this week. So I think Jay Cutler, he's been playing great, but I am hitching this to Alshon Jeffrey's health. If Alshon is out there, I think he's going to have a fine week. I'd be happy to start him.
I'm going to go with Marcus Mariota. And Mariota's been a quarterback 2, right? Like a 2-quarterback league type of guy this season, and he's had 3 or 4 games that have been kind of great performances, ones you can rely on. If Kendall Wright's back,
it's a big help.
And Mariota's at home against Oakland. Oakland is one of the worst teams in the league in giving up points to quarterbacks. They've been a little bit better lately. But I think Mariota's a guy that you can stream and has a pretty safe baseline. He's been playing well. Okay, they were in the lead up until 3 minutes left in a special teams failure last game. It wasn't a pretty game. I'm not saying it was. But Delaney Walker, Kendall Wright, and Dorial Green-Beckham can get it done for Mariota. A couple touchdowns, some yards on the ground, and maybe you'll get a third one in there.
Yeah,
so
Kendall Wright makes a big difference to him.
Yeah, so, all right. I'm sorry, Mike. I want to apologize for the Brian Hoyer. It's not bad. I don't like the whole piece of Hoyer coming back off of this injury, and it's not like, I guess he's had a couple stream-worthy games, so I'll let you sit with Hoyer.
He absolutely has had some stream-worthy.
Right.
Before he went out in our scoring format, 6 point per touchdowns, he had a 4-week stretch, 28 fantasy points, 33, 27, and 25. So
that's pretty good.
All good.
All right.
Who and what was the bad game? Who was that against? But not the concussion game.
The Cincinnati game? Isn't that when he got the concussion?
He was bad against Cleveland, right?
Cleveland. No.
Cleveland was.
He hasn't had a bad game.
Yeah, never mind.
His bad game was week 1. Week 1 when he was benched.
Never mind. I stand by it.
Let me ask you this, Jason. Where are you going to have DeAndre Hopkins rated this week?
Number 1. He's the best.
Well, based on your matchup polarization, I think that you'd rank him higher than 1 in some way.
Yeah, he's going to be 0.
I think you might. Didn't you say yesterday at lunch you want to just find the quarterback playing New Orleans and stream them the rest of the year?
Yeah, and that's why Mike got in Hoyer as his pick before me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he would have been my pick. And honestly, if you're listening and you've got Jay Cutler and Brian Hoyer, my own personal vote would be for Brian Hoyer. So,
all right, we'll be back tomorrow with our jumbo-sized 2-pack show. Probably, I don't know how long it'll be, but we're going to get everything in, all the matchups. We're going to get your starts, your sits, all the news, breaking information. Hopefully we have some news on Lynch, got news on maybe Amendola's situation, and we'll break it all to you. We'll be on Twitter at the FF Ballers sharing that news as well. You got anything to add, Mike? You look like you have something to say.
I'm going to bring snacks for tomorrow's show. I got to keep my blood sugar up.
Because it's going to go so long?
Yeah.
I've got a lot of double stuffed Oreos right behind that wall.
That's true. You do.
That's true.
And Mike's wearing our Fantasy Footballers Back to the Future shirt.
Yeah.
So those of you that ordered those have received them, and we've seen a few tweets.
Don't forget. I can't hit the high note. Mike, you got to do the music stuff. Where are you at? But that
was Mike's mouth trumpet. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For all you Star Wars lovers,
Nobody has any idea what we're talking about at this
Foot
point.
Clan lovers, we have, we like to make pop culture shirts that are that we would wear in public, that you would wear, that
with your thong.
Yes, with your thong. So check it out on the website. We've got a new shirt up for the upcoming release of The Force Awakens. It's the Foot Clan Awakens shirt. Go get it.
Do they know how?
You just go to the website, click the shirts on the very tip-top of the page.
Tip-top-a-da?
Tip-top-a-da, and you're good.
The Fantasy Footballer shirt and then thong combo is really,
it's
solid for the holidays.
It's a package deal.
That's all there is. A package deal?
Yep. Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, we'll see you later.
Big show tomorrow.
We'll
I'll bring
talk
the
to you
butter.
tomorrow. All right. I'm sure you will.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.